I think it's pronounced crew 90.
What's up, boys and girls? It's your boy Johnny, aka Crew 90, and today I want to talk about phantom pain. So, there are many different variations of phantom pain, many different varying degrees of intensity of phantom pains, and every amputee will feel slightly different forms of phantom pain, but as a general rule of thumb, we all tend to feel the same ones. And actually, before making this video, I reached out to several of my amputee friends just to make sure that I was covering all the bases and I wasn't missing anything. And I even reached out specifically to some friends who are like me, who are what we call salvage amputees, where we lost our limbs in an accident of some sort and had to be salvaged. And then I reached out to surgical amputees, and these are the ones who knew they were going to lose their limbs for medical reasons, went in and had their amputation done surgically in a hospital. And I already kind of had an idea that certain ones that affect salvages wouldn't affect surgicals, and turned out I was correct. But I reached out to several surgical amputees as well as salvage amputees. So I want to go down the list. These are the 6 main phantom pains that I deal with on a regular basis, and that most amputees will deal with at some point throughout their life after losing their limb. Now, I do not know any specific names for each type of phantom pain, but as a general rule of thumb, from everyone I've talked to, every amputee kind of names each one a different thing. We kind of name them ourselves, but I guarantee you amputees watching this video, as I'm describing each one, the other amputees will literally know what I'm talking about just based on the description, because we tend to feel the same things even if we call them something different. So no specific order of like the worst to the easiest to deal with. I am going to talk about the 6 main ones that I deal with. So the first one I want to talk about is what I refer to as a zinger. Now, for me, I'm missing my leg, so I'm going to strictly refer to my leg. Phantom pain will come to whatever limb you're missing and however your amputation level is. So for me, my leg. A zinger is a little zap that you feel, and it comes out of nowhere, no warning. You can be doing anything. Sometimes I'm driving in the car, sometimes I'm cooking, sometimes I'm lying in bed just about asleep. It almost feels like an electrical shock that just zaps you, and it's very quick. Now, I have been tased when I was a teenager for a part of a Boy Scout / like police explorers type thing. I know exactly what it feels like to be tased. That is exactly what it feels like, but just not quite to the intensity, and it doesn't have that lingering like tingling sensation afterwards. It comes and goes and it's done. It can usually hit anywhere on your body. For me, or on your phantom limb. For me, it tends to hit right around where my ankle would have been. I get this one a lot, at least 2 or 3 times a day. It's just like that though. It's in and out. You don't feel anymore after it's done. It's probably the easiest one to deal with because while it catches you off guard, it is over as fast as it starts. The next one that I deal with on a regular basis is what I just refer to as the stabbing pain, because it actually feels like you're being stabbed. I mean, I don't really have to even give much of an explanation on this one, but it literally feels like somebody is taking a knife and jabbing you. You feel the sharp heat of the blade going in, and you can feel it anywhere along your phantom limb. It usually lasts for anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds for me. A few of the amputees I've talked to have said that they've felt it for up to like 10 seconds, but this particular one is also very short usually and doesn't tend to have very much of a lingering effect after it's over. It kind of comes and goes as well, although it does, the pain itself does last a little bit longer than the zingers. This again can appear anywhere on your phantom limb. I tend to also get this one kind of around my ankle as well. The next one that I'll talk about is what I refer to as the vice grip. The vice grip is, it feels like somebody is squeezing you on your phantom limb as hard as they can. Not honestly as hard as if you were literally in a vice grip, but just very, very hard. This one tends to last for anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds. I've had some of my amputee buddies say that theirs is a little less time than that. I've had some say that theirs lasts as long as, up to a minute or two. For me, tends to be less than that. And this one does tend to have a little bit of a after sensation. Even after the main phantom pain is gone, you still feel like a little bit of a tingle, and it is a little bit more uncomfortable than the other ones that I've mentioned. But again, it's not too horrible. The next one, which is a little worse, it's kind of on the same type of thing as the vice grip, but I just refer to it as the rolling phantom pain. And this is where you get like the vice grip sensation, but it moves across your phantom limb. For me, I very rarely feel it moving from my foot up. I always tend to feel it starting around here and moving down, but it almost feels like if someone's taking a rolling pin and putting a lot of weight onto that rolling pin directly onto your bone and just rolling. And once it reaches about my ankle, it's usually at the apex, and I'm like, and so this is where people will actually notice something's wrong. Sometimes I'm walking and I'll just kind of and it's because it hurts. And that one is probably one of the worst ones that I get. This one also tends to last longer, as it's not a quick roll. It feels like somebody is slowly rolling a rolling pin down my phantom limb. And like I said, for me, it tends to start up around my knee area and move down to my ankle. Occasionally will make its way across my foot, but a lot of times it stays in this one central area, and it lasts about 20 to 30 seconds, and it's a very high intensity pain. From there, I'll move on to the shooting phantom pain. I call it a shooter. This is where it's almost like a combination of the zinger and then the rolling pain. The shooter is like a zinger. It's a very quick electrical type sensation, but it shoots across your entire phantom limb. This one, again, also typically starts up here and flies down my leg. It moves very rapidly, but what's bad about this one is it tends to leave a tingling sensation that I can feel, almost like if your foot falls asleep. That's what I'll feel in my whole phantom limb for a good 5 minutes afterwards. This one also tends to come in bursts, so I'll get it. I'll have a good minute or two of peace, and then I know it's going to come again, and then it'll come again at least 2 or 3 more times. That one's not quite as unbearable as the rolling pain, but it is just as uncomfortable and annoying because of the frequency it comes and the fact that it comes in bursts. So the last one that I'll talk about, and the last one that I really deal with, is absolutely the worst phantom pain that I deal with. Now, I refer to it as memory lane. Any amputees watching this can probably already figure out where I'm going with this one and already know what I'm about to talk about. But for non-amputees that are watching this, before I describe what memory lane is, I'll go and tell you real fast. Researchers actually tried to look into a cure for phantom pain, and in order to do that, they decided the best way to cure phantom pain was to figure out what caused it in the first place. And after a lot of studies, the main conclusion that they can come up with is your brain almost forgets that a part of its body is no longer there. So while obviously you have memory of your accident, or if you had a surgery, you have memory of your procedure, your brain ultimately just kind of forgets that you no longer have a limb. And so as a result, it still sends signals to the missing limb, which then, since it's not there, can't receive the signals and bounce them back properly. So your body then kind of occasionally will freak out when it doesn't get the proper response, and will send like a little pain sensation down there in order to see if it can get a response, and this is what we feel as phantom pain. With that being said, a lot of times, because the nerves and your memory don't really know what to do, it causes the nerves that are still alive in your phantom, like in the residual limb, causes the nerves to just simply relive the last thing that they remember. This is what triggers memory lane. Now, I have talked to several surgical amputees who have confirmed that they typically do not experience memory lane because since they were either knocked out for their procedure or their procedure was done under heavy anesthesia, and like local anesthesia, they didn't feel any of the pain. They don't actually generally feel this particular phantom pain. However, almost every salvage amputee I have talked to has specifically discussed this particular one. Your body will literally, or your phantom limb will literally relive the last thing that it can remember, which, if you lost your limb in a tragic incident, means you are reliving the pain of that accident over and over. For me, my leg was amputated in a baler, and before it was amputated, there was extensive damage done to my limb. So for me, I typically can feel, first I'll feel my toes kind of like getting crushed. I can feel my foot breaking. I will feel my ankle starting to break. My heel had a gash blown in it where all the fluids in my foot blew out. I can actually feel that happen. I then feel the actual break of my shin, at which point my foot became separated from the rest of my body. I feel the bone in my shin shatter going up diagonally up my leg. And it happens in the same speed too. It's not like it's done super quick. It happens in the same speed that it happens. I completely, fully, 100% relive the accident. What's really interesting is I had an ingrown toenail at the time of my accident, which didn't really cause me too much pain, but was just mildly uncomfortable. I can actually even feel the sensation of having an ingrown toenail whenever I'm experiencing a trip down memory lane. And this particular form of phantom pain fortunately does not hit me extremely often. I'll get it maybe once every month or two, with one exception. Every year, towards the end of June, as we start to near July 9th, which is when my accident happened, I start getting memory lane and all phantom pains in general at a much increased frequency. But memory lane specifically speaking about, I start getting memory lane probably 2 to 3 times a day, all the way up until the day of my accident, at which point pretty much for the entire day I am in extreme pain, and it is all phantom pain. Nothing I can do to stop it. I can't do anything to make it go away because it's not real, although it feels extremely real. Whatever the correlation is, without fail, July 10th, I wake up and my phantom pain is back to normal for the rest of the year, all the way through until the following mid-June. But with that being said, these are the main types of phantom pain that all amputees typically will deal with at one point or another in their time as an amputee. These are the names that I gave them. As I said, there's no official names for each one. Every amputee also tends to call them something different. If you are an amputee and you knew exactly what I was talking about, I'd love to hear what you refer to each one as. And for non-amputees, when you hear an amputee referring to phantom pain, this is exactly what we're talking about. So in my next video, I'm actually going to discuss something very similar. It's phantom sensations. And while it's similar and in the same family, it's also entirely different. And in my opinion, it's much more interesting. So if you found this video interesting and informative, be sure to check out my next video as well, because we're going to go into phantom sensations on that one. So anyways, as always, it's your boy Crew 90, and I'll catch you next time.